Hey everybody, this is Perch, and commenting on a couple new comics coming out, and also a trend that should be obvious at this point, but I mean, we'll just go right out the gate with it. So this is going to be talking about some new Marvel announcements and everything else. But hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, we are almost at 10 million subscribers, which is amazing for this little channel. It spends absolutely no effort putting out their content. And when we hit 10 million subscribers, everybody, I'm taking Mumbles, and the two of us are going on a cruise ship, and we're going to film a little mini series about our wacky times together trapped on a ship. So that's what we have to look forward to. Anyway, the thing to kind of keep in mind here is that you can almost predict the new series and the things that Marvel's going to be putting out based on the movies and based on what they're doing with Disney Plus. So it should come as absolutely zero shock to people. I am seeing shock from people that there is going to be a Hawkeye comic coming out. But why? I mean, Kate Bishop is going to be in Hawkeye. It's a series that's coming out, I believe, later this year. And obviously, they're going to put out a comic. I mean, obviously. At this point, remember all the criticism we've given Marvel in previous years for having a movie and then like having the character dead or not having a comic or canceling it at that exact moment or whatever they're doing. That is not the problem today. Now, we are definitely going to be seeing more of if there's a Disney Plus series come out, guaranteed there's going to be a comic out. What's the most sure bet you can count on? It's that when the Miss Marvel show hits, that there's going to be a series. Now, here's the other interesting part, though. Most of these series are going to be limited series. They're not going to be ongoing comics. And why is that? Well, I think that what Disney's strategy looks like is that they're thinking people are going to the movies and the people who are watching the Disney Plus series, they're not going to be in for an ongoing series. They're going to want something limited. They're going to want maybe a trade. Sort of the timing of these comics, I think, are going to come out a couple months before. So hopefully they can hurry out the trade before the streaming, the services ended. That's what we're going to see. And that's not a terrible strategy. I mean, it is making a big assumption that we haven't seen play out yet, which is that viewers of this stuff will, be interested in reading the comics at all. But if you can align it right, then in theory, sure, you can at least take advantage of what we call bubble marketing, where Disney's putting out a bunch of marketing for Hawkeye and Kate Bishop in general. And so even if you're not getting the people who love the show buying the comics, it's raising the awareness of this character, and it's going to add, a couple more sales in the shop. That's the theory. We'll see if it plays out. Again, it hasn't really so far. But long way of saying, we do have a new Kate Bishop comic coming out. And in this one, she's returning to New York City and for a jewel heist. Is that what's going on? It's Bishop is prompted to return to New York City after being invested into a weird, murderous, fancy resort called a Resort Chippew to solve a mysterious jewel heist. Why not? Kate Bishop has been hanging out on the West Coast, and this creative team is going to be, oh God, you're killing me with this, Mariki Nijkamp and artist Enid Balam. That's what we've got. That's the team that is going to be on this book. And we see a couple of the preview images there. It's taking almost a Aeon Flux almost view of Kate. But anyway, it looks like they're making her a little younger than some of the recent kind of comics that we've seen her in. Pizza Dog is still there if you like that character. So again, makes sense. They're trying to align it to the Disney Plus show. So we're going to try and have this like cross between the Kate Bishop and some kind of plucky, Disney Channel kind of character. That's what we now get. Hallie Steinfeld is going to be Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye show that obviously is coming out very, very shortly. Now, this comic is coming out on the November, and the Hawkeye TV show debuts in November. And from what I've heard from the person who pointed me to this is that the limited series, which will be 5 issues, is going to be accelerated to some extent. It's going to try and go quicker than normal in order to in order to get the trade out again before the series is done. If this is another kind of 6 or 8 episode series, then it's going to fit right in that timeline, a month and a half. I don't know if they're going to quite make it, but at any rate, that's basically what they have going on. In news that hasn't been announced yet, but apparently is imminently going to be announced, is She-Hulk. So She-Hulk is also going to get a solo limited series, same kind of thing, 5-issue run in alignment with the She-Hulk TV show on Disney Plus. So again, no surprises here to anything in terms of some of these comics that are coming out. It's a reason why you have a Kang the Conqueror comic. Now, to be fair, Marvel is still not exactly hitting the mark on some of these. The good time to launch the Kang the Conqueror comic probably would have been, that right before the final episode of Loki. But whatever gets you through the day. The other thing to announce here is that Marvel is pushing is they have another Marvel Voices comic, and they're doing 4 of these a year, 6 of these a year. It's unclear, and this is Heritage #1. So what this one is about is spotlighting Indigenous creators and characters in November. So another one-shot, another anthology. I did a video on this anthology. Here's the thing. These comics obviously have somewhat of an audience. They're selling, they figured out a financial model. Most of the characters who are coming in, the creators who are coming in to write stories for this are not being paid terribly well. They've got a new gimmick out that they did for the Pride issue that they're also doing for this one, which is that there will be a Marvel debut of a new character in this book. Remember, they did the same thing with Somnus, which sounds like a sleeping pill drug. But anyway, they're doing another debut in this comic of a brand new Marvel character. So basically, they're keeping the costs really cheap. They're trying to spike the collectors by saying it's a first-time appearance of a brand new character that you can get here. And that's the model. These comics do not sell terribly well, but I think they could. And not to make the pitch again, but what would really help is if these stories mattered. That the problem is these stories that are in the comic feel like a showcase. They feel like 2 things. One, a tryout for some new creators who are trying to break into the company who, from at least the track record of what we've seen for the last several Marvel Voices, that hasn't been a successful thing that's happened. And also kind of a slice of life. Here's a moment in time of these characters. A dramatic amount of these stories feature characters sitting down and eating, maybe talking about what they're doing, but they don't set up any real ominous thing. And you can do it in an anthology. Shonen is great at doing this. We've seen anthologies with, the Marvel Comics Presents. The Weapon X story by Barry Windsor Smith ran in Marvel Comics Presents, as well as a ton of other amazing comics in that series. You can make an anthology work, but you have to make the stories matter. If the stories are just people kind of standing around like, here's a 10 minutes in the life of Forge, nobody cares. And so I would love to see these books actually matter. That would be great. But otherwise, it's just kind of a peek into some things. And really, what they're hoping for is that people who are buying this are buying it because they want to support, in this case, Indigenous voices or Pride Month or whatever it happens to be. And that's nice as a one-time feel-good purchase, but it would be better if it was hey, let's get you hooked on a Moonstar story or an Echo story. And let's have it be a prologue to a limited series. Let's get something major in here. But no, it's all this very, I don't know. Anyway, Marvel of Voices Heritage will feature the origin story of supporting character River from Rebecca Roanhorse's upcoming title Echo Phoenix Song limited series, as well as a tale focusing on Champions member Snowguard from her co-creator Nyla Inusuk. And then there will be art from David Cutler, Jim Terry. Based on the cover, it looks like we've got, what do we have here? We got Danny Moonstar, we've got Forge, we've got Echo. Sure. It's, again, make something happen in this comic and people will be all over it. We have next week, we will be getting Marvel Voices Identity, which will be Asian and Pacific Islander creators. So it's about once a quarter we're getting these Marvel Voices comics, and this is going to continue for as long as the cost model works out. but are you buying them? I know from the comments, I've talked about this before, very few people on this channel are buying them, but some people are. My comment, if you are one of the people who's buying it, be brave. Say in the comments, don't nobody dogpile somebody who's liking a comic. What is it about this comic that's appealing to you? Is it that you're getting a chance to see some new creators? Is it a chance you're seeing a brief hint of a character maybe you really love that they don't do much with anymore? What is it that is drawing you to this comic that's causing? Because these are usually with a higher price tag as well. It's not usually a cheap comic. So, the thing to me is I'll from personal experience, I like Forge. I like that character. Characters had little brief appearances in X-Force. As much as I think Ben Percy is a good writer, I really hate the way Forge is being written right now. He's being written as this sarcastic, weird simp. I like that character. I've liked that character for a long time, and I'm not really loving the way that character is written today. If this character is showing up in Marvel Voices Heritage #1 for a 4-page story of maybe him inventing a new gun, I mean, to me that's a tease. It tends to turn me off more than get me excited about the character. I'd rather just have a one-shot, a story or something where something meaningful happens. Just having Forge wandering around a lab talking about how he's good at inventing, it doesn't compel me to buy another Forge comic. That's a challenge for me. So what about you? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.